Welcome everybody! Today let's talk about the state of the gaming industry. And in the most recent times, things do not look good. RAM prices are going high. Recently, Sony just announced the end of physical media, and for a long time now, we've been having a lot of disappointment from all the gaming companies, the big ones of course, when it comes to our most nostalgic IPs, for an example. I think Pokemon is a good example, other examples like Call of Duty, or FIFA, or EA Sports FC, really have been disappointing us, loyal fans, in the last couple of years. And today I want to talk about the future of the gaming industry, because we know that right now it's kinda bad. There are still some good things to be aware of in the gaming industry, but my point today is the Oroborus of the gaming industry. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Oroborus is an esoterical symbol that represents the cycle or the end of a cycle. It is basically depicting a snake or a dragon eating its own tail. And that's exactly what the gaming industry is doing right now. So I'm gonna tell you in my perspective what is that cycle, what is that these gaming industries are doing that is eating themselves, and what does that mean for the future. So we know that gaming didn't start as an industry. It started with some companies, yes, Nintendo goes all the way back for an example, but it only became an industry when the shareholders, goddamn shareholders, came into play. Because yes, there was problems before, there was always problems, there will always be problems. But at the moment, and for the past few years, there's been way more problems. Like, in the top of my mind right now, live service games, for an example, are a big problem, right? Always trying to milk the consumer out of their time, out of their commitment, out of their hard-earned money. But if we think that as gamers are being hurt by this state of the industry, well, the industry itself is hurting themselves way more than they imagine. Because all those bad decisions that are hurting us, the gamers, are hurting them as well. I think today I watched a short from Legendary Drops where it showed that Xbox and Sony in general, but specifically PlayStation, registered immense losses. Like, never seen before, like they're really hitting their bottom. And for us gamers, we're like, oh, don't you say? Because it's very obvious, correct? Because this is the Ouroboros. That is exactly the Ouroboros. They keep making bad decisions, they keep losing money and projects, they keep losing studios, they keep laying off people, they keep letting good IPs go away because of themselves, not because somebody is taking them away. And that's exactly them eating their own tail, they're eating themselves, correct? So many bad decisions that by hurting gamers are hurting themselves. And in the long term, that is not sustainable. Just, it's not because. And by hurting themselves, they're also hurting the players and vice versa. And something that they fail to notice, or at least people making decisions they fail to notice, is that without customers, without gamers, there is no gaming industry. Another problem, I don't think mostly or many times comes from the developers themselves, because like I said, the shareholders coming into the gaming industry, into the gaming space, turned it into an industry, and that is the problem. Because now the developers and the companies are not making games just for the gamers, they're making games for the shareholders as well. But the shareholders don't play games, they just want to see profits, and sometimes they do dumb decisions, in our perspective, to try and get margins up by like 5 or 10%, and it just ends up hurting them more and more and more. So by eating their own tail, I think that the shareholders eventually will start to leave the space because it's not profitable for their gains, for their margins. Because for the studios and for the people making games, they just want to basically make a good game and get their investment back and a little bit of profit so they can hire more people, get better hardware and technology, and make better games in the future. And make, like, if they want to get new IPs or if they want to use some IPs, they need to buy the licenses and make some agreements with certain other companies. So they want money to leverage their position in the space and to pay their employees, to pay them better, give them bonuses and whatnot. And all these companies that are hurting their employers, their employees even, and hurting the gamers, they will soon be forced to leave the space or change their presence in the space. And I think in the end of the day, it's positive for the gaming industry. It looks really bad right now, and it is bad right now, but it's basically a purge. This is testing the waters for only the real gamers, only the real companies to stay in the space. So my advice for you, for us as gamers, is to be patient. Stay loyal to your preferences and still be open to new experiences and new possibilities. Don't be FOMOing yourself out, okay? Don't go after every trend, don't buy every single game, buy the games you like, enjoy your games, take your time with them, and just don't go where you don't need to go in your gaming experience. You don't need to be buying all the games. Yes, the games are more expensive right now. Hardware is more expensive right now, but it's still a hobby that you can participate and enjoy. There are a lot of cool games out there. There are a lot of cool companies out there, and I have to shout out the indie companies or the semi-indie companies like the company that did Expedition 33, because that game is awesome. It wasn't super expensive, there was no drama, the music was awesome, the whole team was awesome, so the whole vibe was awesome. Another great game from last year. Was 2025 the best year in gaming history? At least in recent gaming history? There will be a video coming out here soon on the channel. But also Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, another great team, great franchise, great vibe. So gaming is not dead. He's just now filled with posers, with LARPers, with Logan Pauls, you know what I'm saying, in the gaming industry. Totally, they're just here for a quick buck to get 10%, 15% increase in their margins, but that just doesn't work because gaming is very subtle. It's a very subtle investment. It's not I put 10 million in and I take 15 million out or whatever. No, you need to do a lot of steps to get a good profit in gaming. You need to build your IP, build your marketing, build an audience, and be cool. Gaming is about being cool. That's why we see a lot of woke, quote unquote, stuff failing in gaming, not because that woke culture is wrong. This is not a video about my opinions, just because it doesn't really work in the gaming space, because whoever was in the gaming space first is not recipient of those ideas, and they just don't work. We see that in other industries like the movie industry. Those ideas just don't work because people don't want to see that in their space, in their industry. And once again, I'm not stating my opinions here, I'm just stating facts, because those things have been failing. So in the end of the day, gaming also was a bit involved, or politics came and tried to involve themselves into gaming, and that doesn't really work as well, correct? So this video is all about telling you to have a bit more hope, have a bit more open eyes to the future, because things will become better. Even the AI bubble is bursting. Even people are realizing right now that gaming was not being done in the correct way. People were not being treated in the correct way, both gamers, developers, and everybody involved in the gaming industry. And just to conclude the video, I think that a lot of these developers and companies, they were fooled, they were tricked by, or they tried to trick the investors. So they were tricked, or they were tricking somebody with these predictions, with these projections for the future. We're gonna have so much profit, we're gonna make so big margins. And I think it all came from 2020, from the pandemic years, because there was a big rise, a huge spike, and then the projections were made with that in mind. Because you have to remember, these companies, they work in like 5-year cycles or more. So their projections from 2020 to 2021 are still being used to produce games, to make products, but it's not realistic. So a lot of gaming companies attracted investors with those fake claims, and a lot of investors went into the gaming space thinking that those projections were realistic, because there was such a big spike in those early years of these 2020s, right? but it's not true anymore. And they didn't did enough to justify the growth that they wanted to see. So the gaming industry is eating its own tail, and in the end of the day, only the right companies, only the strong companies, only the real gaming companies will be in the space. Only the real IPs that do the right things would be around in the space, and prices will go down, bad marketing strategies will go down, milking your clients will go down, because that will not be supported by the people. It's that simple. Without gamers, you don't have gaming industry. And if you mistreat the gamers, they will leave the space, and then the companies will be forced to undo all the bad things that they did because they'll just stop profiting. It's as simple as that. It takes time because their cycles are very long, and what they think it's real, it's not really real. So it takes time for them to change their vision. Also, a small note here, there was a lot of people in charge that didn't have realistic perspectives, and they weren't real gamers. They weren't real people, as in they didn't really knew what was going on. And also I think those people, department managers and whatnot, they are leaving the space as well. I think in a lot of the layoffs, in a lot of waves of people leaving those companies, I think many of those people, those managers, that they wanted to do unrealistic things and they had unrealistic deadlines and unrealistic points to meet certain quotas, they are leaving the space as well, because whatever they were doing, their vision for the company was just not working, you know. So in the end of the day, play your games, enjoy your games, don't go after the trends, don't go after FOMO. There are great opportunities still in the gaming industry. Shout out to Steam, and I guess Nintendo is the only real one left on the big three: Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. And Nintendo is still doing some BS behavior, but at least they still alive while the other ones are shooting themselves in the face, you know what I'm saying? But the message here is a message of hope, and that gamers and gaming will always be for the real ones. Thank you for watching. See you on the next time.